Okay, so let's do a quick recap, and then we'll continue with the Tosas. All right. So again, the very first Mishnah in Brachas tells us, when do we start reading the Shema at Marav? At night, really, I'm sorry, at night. When the Kohanim go to eat their truma, and that the Gemara tells us is Seisa Kachavim. So the Mishnah tells us clearly the earliest time to read Shema is Seisa Kachavim. Now, why is that? Because the pasuk says, "Shenantam levanecha v'dibarta bam." This is a mitzvah say of Kriyishma v'dibarta bam. You should speak in the words of Kriyishma. That part is learned drasha on Torah. The last words, when you lie down and when you get up, that is on Kriyishma v'dibarta bam. You have a mitzvah essay when you lie down and when you get up. And when is it that you when is it that you lie down? Earliest time is Seisa Kachavim. Okay, that's how you learn B'shach B'cha, and everything is fine, is good. The Mishnah teaches us earliest time to read Shema is Tzeis HaKochavim.
Rabbi, I'm just curious: is there a diuk in Nichnasim le'echol b'trumasim? Don't they go in to eat earlier than they actually eat?
I think it's a good observation. I think it means when they're allowed to eat, because that's Erev Shimshon, meaning they were tamei and they went to the mikvah, but they still have to wait till the end of that day before they can eat truma. So I hear what you're saying. The lashon is a little funny, but it means when they are allowed to eat truma, which is tzeis hakachavim.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Good. Okay. So let's begin. Rashi says that Sof Shmuz Im Kain says Rashi Lama Kornas LeBeis Knesses. If you just told me Rashi says, wait a minute, I don't understand. If so, why do we read Shema in shul? Meaning we daven Shema, we daven Marav much before it says. Why in the world do we have Shema as part of Marav when it's before it says and you're not Yotzei Shema? Rashi answers, mitoch divrei Torah. The answer is not for the mitzvah say of Kriya Shema. No. The reason why Shema is in Marav is strictly so that the Yeshmona Esrei should be entered into through words of Torah. And that's how the Braisa in Yerushalmi explains. Okay, so far, number one, Rashi tells us that the reason why you have Shema in Marav has nothing to do with the mitzvah essay of Kriya Shema, strictly Torah to Tefillah. Therefore, says Rashi, therefore, it's an obligation upon us to read it when it gets dark, because obviously mitzvah say like the Mishnah says is by it says. When you read that first parsha on your bed at night, when it's part of your going to sleep, you say the first parsha of Shema, and that's when you yotze the mitzvah say of Kriya Shema. Okay,
Rabbi, the way Rabbi just read that line,
yeah,
it's mashma from Tosas. He's reading it like that too, but. Why? Because when I read Rashi, you see the period right after Mishitachashech, it seems to be a very specific period. When it gets dark, you have the chiyuv to read it after Tzeis. With Kriya Shema, when you sleep, it's a different inyan. Meaning Rashi's coming to say something else about maybe whether if you miss it, because Lamaisa we miss it a lot. And he says Lamaisa, at the end of the day you'll be yotzi, so we're not so worried. But you want to know when the real chiyuv is? He doesn't say. Someone asks Rashi, when are you yotzi the chiyuv of Kriya Shema at night? He's not, when you go to sleep and you say one parak. No. You do it after Tzeis. But why do you do it during Ma'ariv early? That's Torah. Meaning,
Elton, when you shoot yourself in the head before you begin speaking, how do I answer? Tosas doesn't read it that way. I certainly didn't read it that way. How do I answer that question?
Because it's until Tosas said it, it's what I would assume the Shtival Pshat is, or the Pashup Pshat in Rashi, and it would answer. By the way, it would answer two of Tosas' questions.
I don't see why you would read it that way.
Because that's what he says.
But whatever case, either way, let's even say you're right. Let's say you're right. It happens to be fine. The Rashba probably learned similar to that. But the point is that Lamaisa, Rashi is saying clearly, when you read the first parsha at night on your bed, you're Yotzei. The 2 points that we need to know. Number one, in Marev, before Tzeis, you're not Yotzei. Number two, you are Yotzei in bed with one parsha. Now, what's in between? I don't know. I don't really care, to be honest with you. Those two facts I know, and that's enough for us to really, continue.
Okay, fine. I'm just trying to understand Rashi, which helps you understand Tosas. Meaning, Tosas seems to make his whole thing because he has a problem with Rashi's pshat.
not
And
sure. Let's
two of
get
his questions on Rashi seem a little funny.
let's see. Let's go get the Tosas and let's see. All right. All right. So far, so good. So good. So basically, good. So according to Rashi, why do you read in the base Knesset? Answer is not to fill the mitzvah Shema at all. Not to do mitzvah say of Krishma. Rather than today lamod tefillah b'toch divrei Torah. When are you yotzi mitzvah? According to Elnatan earlier. And again, there's some basis to that, but certainly Rashi says, "B'kriyat parsha rishon shalom kor mital." So that one parsha you read in your bed, you yotze. Okay, so good. So according to Rashi, when you yotze mitzvah krishma, only after tzeis, never before tzeis.
Rebbe, I mean, the lashon yatsa is mashma b'diavad. I think someone was trying to say that last time also.
All right. I mean, maybe I'm not sure. I mean, again, that's sort of what Elnatan seems to be wanting to say. And again, there are Rishonim who defend Rashi that way, so I'm not going to call it ridiculous, not ludicrous, but okay. I mean, to be honest with you, that's not, to me, that's not where the action is at. It's interesting, but not really, that nogea, meaning whatever, All right, let's proceed.
I mean, Rashi obviously can't mean shkia when he says misha tichshach.
No, no way. Because look, his kasha was, why do you read in the basic Knesset? Answer is not for the Mitzvah mitzvah. Therefore, it's chovel lakrosa mitishache when it gets dark. Meaning it says, because again, the way everybody reads the Mishnah says, when do you b'shach b'chal? When is it you fulfill the mitzvah? Say Krishma mishas say sakachavim. So Rashi says, oh wait a minute, if such say sakachavim, why do we bother reading in the shul? The answer is not for the mitzvah. Say no. That's just to be omeid and tefillim toch divrei Torah. Therefore, you have an obligation to read it once it gets dark. Meaning, say sakachavim.
Got it.
Okay, let's proceed. All right, let's start Tosas. All right, so first Tosas quotes Rashi. All right, Rashi. How do we read it early? Why don't we wait to Tzeis? Gemara, as the Gemara explains, because the Gemara explains that when do the Kohanim eat Truma by Tzeis? That's when we should wait till. And therefore Rashi learned that Kriya Shema Lamita, that's the main one. You're right, this sure does seem that Tosas reads it this way, doesn't it? It's after Tzeis. V'achi is what we have in Yishalmi. If you read it before Tzeis, you're not Yotzei. So if so, why in the world, what is Shema doing in the middle of Ma'ariv? Why do we read in Beis Knesset? Okay, very good. So far, so good. Tamil Pirusho says, Tosas, I have a bomb. What does everyone read when they go to sleep at night? Only the first parsha. And he brings a raya lakam brachas daf samacham and beis. Vimkain, if you yotzei mitzvah say of Krishma, when you lie down shlosha parsha alulakros, you should read all three parshios. If so, you should read all three parshios.
Why is that a question also? Meaning, Stan, how does he know that Rashi doesn't pass in that all you need is the first parsha? I think there's even people that say all is the first line. All you need to say is Shema Yisrael and you're Yotzei.
Yeah, so you're doing scenes of last year's attraction. That's a valid question.
I was on a plane. I didn't really hear.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the replay was on the plane also? Never mind. Okay.
No, I was trying to listen to it. It was choppy.
All right. No. So the answer is like this. The answer is Tosas knows Rashi is wrong because he proves that you have to read all three parshas. Now that I know he's wrong, Rashi can hold a shita, but the Perusho, I cannot learn Rashi's Perush. Why? Because I hold you have to read three parshios. That's the Chiyuv D'Oraisa to read. Well, he's D'Rabbanan to read three, right? Since that's a Chiyuv, I have a tame on his Perush, meaning I can't learn his Pshat because it's impossible, because if that were true, you'd have to read all three, and it doesn't. So meaning it's not a kasha on Rashi, it's the Perusho, on Rashi's Perush. I can't use his Pshat. Why? Because I hold three. And Tosas feels very strongly about the fact that it's two parshas midoraisa and three midorabanan, right? But point being, you can't learn Rashi Pshat.
All right. Isn't whatever you say, you have to say there's some reason why there's three?
Yeah, there is a reason why there's three. But the question is that for the mitzvah say doraisa? It's meaning there is
even if it's for the durabanan, but they have to say it. So if you're trying to be fulfilled that thing, you should be doing it now.
Well. who you're asking? Who ask me a question? I'm sorry, I'm not
It's
following.
not really a question. It's really a question on last year's idea that Ratosis is taking this from is that because he paskins, you need to say all three. Maybe even Tosis learns the Rabbanan, it would still be fine Kash on Rashi because you still need the Rabbanans. Can't just skip them.
No, but it probably the Rabbanan you could read earlier, probably. Meaning, let's say the third parsha, according to almost everyone, everyone learns the third parsha is the Rabbanan. Meaning, the Rabbanan put Vayom Hashem al Moshe Lemor strictly for one reason, so that we'll remember Zechiras Yitzias Mitzrayim. Right, the last parsha of Shema has nothing to do with Shema. Chazal
Right.
put it in there because there is a mitzvah, say twice a day, to remember the fact that Hashem took Zedam Mitzrayim. Chazal wanted to give us a convenient way to do it, so they put it into Shema. It has nothing whatsoever to do with Kabbalah, Shemayim, nothing to do with Schar, Olam Haz, Olam Haz, nothing, meaning all the Kabbalah, whatever Shema is, it has nothing to do with it. It's mamish no connection. Chazal put it in for a different reason, again, to be yotze that other mitzvah called remembering Yetzias Mitzrayim, that Hashem took us out. You have to do it twice a day. So Shema is a convenient place to attach it to. So, but the point is that according to everyone but the Shagas Ari is rabbinic, and therefore according to everyone but the Shagas Ari, you could read that after Plag. No one would say you have to wait for Tzeitz for that. You can read that earlier.
Rebbe, is it on this point of Tosas? Could Tosas theoretically disagree with Rashi in the sense that he says you have to say all three prokim, but just hold you have to repeat Krishma later?
Well, but the point is, according to Rashi, how are you yotze in the mitzvah say of Krishma on bed when you go to sleep at night?
Okay, but can Tosas hold? No, you have to repeat Krishma later, three prokim. But as far as
but the minhag is not that way.
Rashi,
Nobody does it, but nobody does that. And the Gemara seems to support that you only read one parsha. Gemara and Brachas and stuff. Samach and Beit seems to support you only say one parsha. If Rashi were right, they would have said you have to say three or at least two. Why isn't the minhag is not the way?
Because of the Gemara and Bracha, Gemara and Samach.
No, and also the minhag, the velt is not knowing that way. Meaning
today the velt is knowing that way. Any ben Torah who davens mincha marav at shkia is knowing to repeat krishma after it says.
Yeah. But nobody, the velt is not knowing to say all three. Well, maybe they are, but in Tos's world, they were not knowing by four hamapil to say all three parshas.
But I'm saying there wouldn't be the stira if
again. There are two reasons. Tosa is telling us the fact. The facts are the velt is not knowing to say all three parshas. The velt, this is what the world does, says Tosas. What the world does is they read one parsha.
The Metzias with Rashi.
What do you mean he agrees with Metzias?
The Metzias is that they daven early, and the only thing they say later is one paragraph of Krishma.
Exactly. So if
that they're not arguing about.
Right. So if so, I can't accept what Rashi's saying. Why? Because one parsha won't be able to say Deraisa. I paskin that you need two.
So Tots is basically cornering himself into a situation where it must be there's a way to yotze the mitzvah earlier.
Correct. Because the way he learns the chiyuv of saying Shema is at least two parshas and not one. All right.
Really, I don't even understand why is it such a huge kasha? Like, I don't understand the question.
Okay.
What's Tosa's question?
Watch this. Let's assume for a minute that Tosa's proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that you must read, to be Yotze D'Oraisa, you must read three parshas. Let's say two parshas, right? Let's say he proved beyond a shadow of a doubt. So he says, I can't learn Rashi's pshat. Why? Because the velt is not noheg to read two when they sleep at night. The velt is noheg only to read one. In addition to which, it's mashal in the Gemara and Samach Amabeis that you only have to read one. So I can't possibly agree to Rashi's papers, meaning it's not a kasha on Rashi. Rashi, you can't learn your pshat because Rashi happens to hold one parsha. By the way, that's correct. And you look, Rav Soloveitchik answers for Rashi, says Rashi obviously learns one parsha. That's how he answers the kasha. But so what Tosa was asking was not I prove you wrong, Rashi. Tema Perush show according to your, I can't accept your perush. Why? Because I have paskin, I've proven that you have to read at least two. And since you have to read this two, there's no way that you could be able to with one at night. Therefore, Rashi is wrong.
Rabbi, are you saying he can't agree with his Perush? Are you referring to the Perush of why they say Shema earlier?
Correct.
Okay. Make sure I was following it.
Good. All right, gentlemen.
Well,
good.
I mean, it sounds like he's just asking lahalacha on Rashi. He's saying Rashi. No, but lahalacha meaning whether you need three or one. Not asking anything about the parish about earlier.
Other places that you must have two for the right. So he proves it unequivocally, at least in Tosas' mind. Tosas proves bivadayis that you have to have two parshas at least, and he will not budge on that. Now again, it's a machlokas Rishonim, and Rashi happens to hold one, but Tosas proves what he feels unequivocally. You have to read two parshas, no question about it. Once that's true, I cannot accept Rashi's perush. Why? Because the Velt isn't knowing to read two parshas, only read one, and that the Gemara seems to support what they're doing. So obviously, Rashi, I can't accept your pshat. Again, it's not a kasha on Rashi, not like Rashi. You can't learn your pshat. I can't learn your pshat. All right, let's.
And even Tosas would be moda. Even Tosas would argue with Rashi about being yotze b'diavad. Meaning, let's say Rashi was just saying b'diavad, you could be yotze with one. Tosas still.
Tosas, you're not yotze. You would
Tosas
not.
would disagree. He would say you're not
right.
yotze b'diavad.
Now again, it's probably not the halachic shita. Mishnah Berurah seems to say clearly. Many Rishonim hold just the first pasuk, Shema and Baruch Shem. Other Rishonim hold the first parsha. Again, it's a good idea to read all three because to be Yotze all the days. But probably if you did the full first parsha, you're probably Yotze, and for sure if you did all two, you'd be fine. Meaning if you daven Marav early and you did this after, you know what I'm saying? Because according to the Mishnah Berurah, is very clear that the third parsha of remembering Yetzias Mitzrayim, you Yotze even before Tzeis. It's only the first two, which is the mitzvah of Krishma, that becomes the problem. All right, let's proceed. So that's one kasha. I can't accept Rashi's pshat. Va'od kasha. Second kasha. Sarach levar b'kriyas shema shtayim l'fanei shtayim l'chareh ba'arvis. Chazal instituted two brachas before Shema and two brachas after Shema, and those are brachas of mitzvah. Those are brachas that Chazal instituted on the mitzvah of Krishma. Now, if you're not yotze mitzvah of Krishma, why in the world would they have made such brachas? It makes no sense. And even if you'll dray and tell me they're not real brachas mitzvah, as Elnaton's about to jump out and say it's only a bracha on Torah, but why did Chazal put it there in Marav if you no connection to Shema? Bishlam, if it has a connect, if you go to mitzvah say of Krishma, I understand why Chazal put two brachas before and two brachas after, because it wasn't exactly likro. By the way, you know what the Rosh says? The Rosh says, since he argues Rabbeinu Tam, he says, therefore, after Tzeis, you have to say the bracha Sheker Yisharim Mitzvah Likro Shema, and then say Shema. Now, again, we don't paskin that way, but that's what the Rosh says. The Rosh says if you read early, if you dam Marav before Tzeis, and later on you have to repeat Kriya Shema, you have to make a brachas a mitzvah called Likro Shema, which makes sense in a way. All right, so far so good. All right, good. I'll take that silence as a yes. Okay, good. Okay, good. Question number 3. Number 3, that Kriya Shema that we read at night is only to prevent the mazikim. As the Gemara in Daf Hayam and Alf says, to prevent mazikim. Therefore, if he's a Talmid Chacham, he doesn't even have to read it. So obviously, it's not for the mitzvah say of Krishma. You wouldn't say a Talmid Chacham doesn't have to read it if that's when it's yotze in mitzvah Krishma, because then a Talmid Chacham wouldn't be yotze in a mitzvah. So obviously, Rashi's wrong. Kasha number 4. Vod Kashim gave Maskin Rabbi Shimon Levi. There is a machlokes in the Gemara as to when Shema and when Shemona Esrei is set up. Rabbi Yeshua holds the tefillah of be'emtza teknuim. The tefillah was between the two Shemas. Period be'emtza ben shnei kriya shema, ben kriya shema shel shachris, ben kriya shema shel arvis. Right? Rabbi Shimon Levi holds that between the kriya shema of shachris and kriya shema of arvis, Chazal put the Shemona Esrei of Marav. That's his yeshita. Anan kaim like Rabbi Yochanan, but we pass in the other way. We pass like Rabbi Yochanan Malakaman, who says on the bracha dav beizim and beiz, Ezu ben olam haba ze'asomeh geula shel arvis tefillah. He who places the gula of arvis close to tefillah, he's a ben olam haba. So obviously you have to be yotze shema, otherwise it's not someh gula to tefillah.
Does Tosas just mean because that's what the other shita holds? But obviously the person is saying gula next to tefillah because he's saying the brachos and everything.
Thank you very much. I don't know why everybody else is sleeping on that one.
Oh, I think maybe they asked that already.
What?
Maybe they asked it last year. I was just listening to it. Maybe I got that.
Good. That's a good question, right? So what's the answer to that question?
Oh yeah, you quoted that Shagasagi.
Right. That you only, it seems to be it's only called someone gula tefillah if you're chayiv in it, and if you're not chayiv in it, then it's not. I don't understand the lumdus of why, but let's take it as a given. Again, so this is 4 rayas, and really, to be honest with you, I'm much less concerned about these 4 proofs against Rashi than what the machlokas is, and in fact, what Tosa is learning and what the Reed is learning. So let's take it as granted, and let's move on. Okay.
Wait, so Tosfos gives both views, saying you can't hold like Rashi on either view.
Meaning Rashi says that, number one, earlier the Shema has nothing to do with the mitzvah. Say it's just the Torah close to Tefillah, and really the mitzvah say Deraisa is only after Tzeis when do you say it when you go to sleep at night. And Tosa says that can't be. I brought 4 rayas. It can be. I can't.
Right.
No. So therefore, Tosa comes back to the problem. If so, the Mishnah says clearly, when's the earliest time to read Shema is Tzeis. If so, how do you explain why we daven before Tzeis? What's going on? Okay, good. Quite the opposite. If you wonder when you yotze the mitzvah say daraisa, it's in shul. Yes, it's before Tzeis, but that is when you yotze. That's the main mitzvah. And even though it's before Tzeis, you're yotze the mitzvah say of Kriyishma daraisa. Okay, now. If you ask me kasha, that can't be because we daven early. Basically, exactly what Rashi was troubled by. How do I answer that myself? Shlomo says the common Rabbi Yehuda. We pass on Rabbi Yehuda. Dam perik tefillas shacha. He says on Brachas Daf Chav Vav Amar Aleph, Dizman tefillas mincha plaga mincha. The latest time for davening mincha, according to Rabbi Yehuda, is plaga mincha. And the Hainu, when is that? 11 hours minus a quarter, meaning 10 3/4 hour. And immediately, as soon as mincha is over, arvis starts. All right. So before we focus on what he's saying, let's get the background. We'll go over this because it's very important. So this is the Mishnah on Chavav and Aleph. The Mishnah says, "Tfilas mincha ad erev." This is the Rabbanan. The Rabbanan hold gedam mincha until whatever you call erev, whatever you call erev, you gedam mincha till. Yehuda said, no. Chas shalom. You have to stop. The latest time you get on mincha is plaga mincha. All right, so let's do that. I didn't do this properly last time, but let's do this properly now. Shal Zmanias. Okay, so a quick recap of how Shal Zmanias work. So Shal Zmanias mean you take the day and you divide it by 12. From the start of the day till the end of the day, divide it by 12, and those are your hours. So let's assume for a minute, now this is big machlokas, but let's assume the day starts at Alos and ends at Seis. All right, let's take that sheet for a minute. So the start of the day is Alos and the end of the day is Seis. Now let's go in New York City on December 21st. So on December 21st, on the solstice, on the winter solstice, Alos is about 6 a.m. and Seis is about 6 p.m. So the day lasts from Alos till Seis. Chatzos is the midpoint, and it's not 12:01, but I couldn't write PM on 1200, even though I have a computer program who says I can, but I couldn't. So, but the point is that Alos is 6 a.m., Seis is 6 p.m. In that case, the amount of daylight time, the length of daylight is 12 hours. From 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. is 12 hours. So what do? I take a length of daylight 12 hours. I divide that 12 hours by 60 minutes each hour. And I'm sorry. Yeah, I take those 12 hours and divide it by 12. Meaning I take 12 times 60 and take that number divided by 12. My show's money is 60 minutes. That's a perfect, simple equation because the hours, the show's money is equal to the actual diurnal or actual clock, the way we keep the clock. Okay, good. However, New York City on June 21st has a little bit of a different reality. Alos might be as early as 4:30. Seis might be as late as 8:30. And therefore, the length of the day is actually 16 hours. So again, what I have to do is take these 16 hours and divide it by 12, and now I have my Shaw's money. So really the way you do it is you take 16 times 60, and that number you divide by 12. The bottom line is it ends up the Shaw's money is at that time of year are approximately 90 minutes. All right, so that's a Shaw's money is because anytime we discuss hours in halacha, it has to be a Shaw's money is almost all, most halachas, a Shaw's money is. Okay, now, Next issue is mincha. Gentlemen, very.
Is there a reason Rebbe picked Shitas Magen Avram as opposed to Gra, meaning as far as Seis and Olos as opposed to?
Yes, I did. Because if I would have picked the Gra, you would have said, why don't you pick the Magen Avram?
No, because I'm saying Lamaisa, the island works generally shows money is from Nates to Shkia.
I look.
If someone says that when's plag, they're not talking about Magen Avram plag. They're talking about going plag.
About that, you have to be correct. But both shitas, you have to deal with it. Both shitas are halacha. I just did it because.
No, I thought there was a reason why Rabbi Dafka did that.
No, I haven't done it because it's more clear. The day becomes much more exaggerated. Meaning, you've gone 16 hours, so it's
right.
more.
It's 90 minutes instead of 75 minutes.
Right, exactly. So it's more noticeable, whatever. But again, the same math, and both have to be respected because we treat both halach. The Mishnah Berurah is very clear. Both shitas are dealt with halach. He doesn't paskin like even look at Krishma. It's not.
Eretz Yisrael, they're very big on the going, but for some reason, when it comes to Krishma, they're makban Magen Avram's ma. The Charedim, at least.
I don't know. I'm not sure, but okay. But anyway, so let's discuss another thing called mincha. Now, very important. There are 2 carbon tomids brought in the base of Mikdash. Very shortly, Mitzvah Shem will be rebuilt, maybe imminently. Should be imminently. The first carbon tomid is carbon tomid Keneg Shachar, and the second carbon is the carbon tomid of Ben Harbayim. And Ben Harbayim means, as Rashi explains, Ben Harbayim means between the Erevs. It has to be at the point when the sun goes a little. My hands up. Yeah, I'm looking at the wrong camera. When the sun goes a little bit past the meridian, so you can be Bein Harbayim. You can see it's past it's moving into the next section of the day. Anyway, for that reason, and that's a carbon tummy. Now, even though the Gemara says the reason that Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov were masakin and Tefillah, the Gemara also says that the Tefillah are keneged the karbonos, and the Meiri explains that both are true. Even though Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov originally set it up, but when Chazal said it, they said it to be keneged the karbonos, and therefore the timing of it really hinges on the time of the carbon. So the carbon tamid shel ben arbayim could only be brought at 12 and a half hours. Therefore, mincha gedola is a half hour after chatzos till the end of the day, right? Now, again, whatever the end of the day is, if it's seis, if it's shkia, whatever, I just convenience sake, I picked this one. Mincha gedola is a half hour after chatzos. Here's chatzos. From a half hour on, you could daven mincha until the end of the day. We'll assume for a minute. Now, you can daven shachris until when, gentlemen?
Preferably 4 hours.
You're only yotzei. We
Possible.
paskin only yotzei tefillah b'zman up until 4 hours, because believe it or not, we paskin until 4 hours. But even the Mechaber says, and it's really Gemara, that if you daven after 4 hours, you still have schar. Tefillah b'zman you don't have, but you do have schar. So till chatzos you're allowed to daven shachris. Again, really until 4 hours. Man tefillah. Zman tefillah is 4 hours into the day, 4 shalos manios. But you could daven shachris up until chatzos. Then it's half hour after you're not allowed to daven shachris. You're also not allowed to daven mincha either. That half hour you don't daven, but mincha gedola begins a half hour after chatzos. Okay, now what's mincha katana? Now, as I mentioned last time, the carbon tamid shel ben arbayim was the last carbon brought in the base of Mikdash for the day. After that carbon, no carbonos could be brought, and therefore the Kohanim used to delay bringing that carbon so that the carbon yochids could be brought. Meaning, someone has a toda, shlomim, whatever it may be, if they brought the carbon tamid shel ben arbayim, he wouldn't be able to bring it that day. So therefore, they brought the mincha, the carbon tamid shel ben arbayim. They brought later to give people a chance to bring their carbon yochids. Therefore, they shechted the carbon, even though you could bring it by 12 and a half hours. They shechted it at 8.5, and they brought it almost every day except one. They brought it at 9.5 hours. So the makri of the carbon at 9.5 hours, and this is called mincha katana, because mincha really l'katchila should not be davened before the time when the carbon was brought. Since the carbon was brought at 9.5 hours, so mincha katana is the right time, the ideal time to daven mincha, 9.5 hours. Now you could daven earlier, it's true, and if you can't get a minyan earlier or you yotze derech, you're allowed to. But again, look at the right time to daven mincha is mincha katana, 9.5 hours to the end of the day. Now, this is the Rabbanan Shita. that Mincha Gedola starts over here and goes all the way to whatever is considered Erev. However, that's not Rabbi Yehuda's Shita. Rabbi Yehuda's Shita is you can only daven Mincha until Plaga Mincha. What's Plaga Mincha? Plaga Mincha is here's this Mincha over here, Mincha Katana, right? Pulig it, split it, and up until the split, half of it, that's Plaga Mincha. It says Rabbi Yehuda, the latest time that you can daven Mincha is Plaga Mincha. Why? Because that's when they brought the carbon. They never brought the carbon after that time. So therefore, that sets the time, the last time you could daven. And therefore, since that's the last time you bring the last time they brought the carbon, it's the last time you're allowed to daven. And that's the end of the day, according to Rabbi Yehuda. It's the last time you get daven Mincha. And the next slide says, from 9.5 hours to 10 and 3/4 hours into the day, and that's the time to daven. Mincha Katan is over here, and you're allowed to daven until Plaga Mincha. After Plaga Mincha, you cannot daven. Mincha ends. According to Yehuda, Mincha ends by Plaga Mincha. Okay, now, gentlemen,
about when the carbon had to be done by.
Could you say that one more time?
They argue about when the carbon had to be finished. The carbon tummy.
No, they don't argue about that. They argue when it was finished. Now you will see if we understand Rabbi Yehuda right, the way Rabbeinu Tam learns, it probably means that according to Rabbi Yehuda, it had to be finished by that time. You're right. You're really right, because he holds it. But let's not. I don't want to get stuck on that right now. But the simplest way, before we get into technicalities in Rabbeinu Tam, the reality is they ended it the last time. See, let's go to chakras for a minute. Why is 4 hours the time the Sof Zman Tefillah?
I assume because the carbon was supposed to be done by then.
Could be brought till Chatzos. It never was, and therefore, because it never was, you're not allowed to daven after that. But it could be. So Kohanim was reason, and therefore they would never leave it that late. But the carbon tamish of chakras could be brought all the way till Chatzos. So really, you should be able to, but because it never was brought after 4 hours, and therefore Chazal put the tefillah connected the carbons, and since the carbon was never brought after 4, and therefore you're not allowed to daven. So Rabbi Yehuda says the same thing by Mincha. Since they never brought it after 9.5 hours, they never brought it after Plag, after 10 and 3/4 hours, and therefore you're not allowed to daven Mincha after. That's the simplest way to learn Rabbi Yehuda. Now you're right.
Isn't Rabbi Yehuda the Shita that says 4 hours?
One thing. We'll see in a minute. One thing. But really, the truth be told, Rabbeinu Tam doesn't learn like I just said. You're really right. Rabbeinu Tam clearly seems to learn that you cannot, according to Rabbi Yehuda, you cannot bring the carbon mincha after 10 and 3/4 hours.
All right. So you want to say just like by chakras, it could be later, it could be brought later, but they just didn't. So
Right.
the Chazal made the tefillah time when they practically usually finished.
Right. That's since that was the last time it was brought. That's now again.
Also, your two pictures, I didn't understand. Rabbanan you have starting at Mincha Gedola, but then Rabbi Yehuda you had starting
I know.
at Mincha Katana.
I ran out of time.
What?
I ran out of time. I couldn't correct all the slides. Even this one's.
Because this one is better. This one has them both. This one has Rabbi Yehuda from Mincha Gedola.
Usually I keep changing the slides, and the best one I say, oh, this one's perfect, and then I'll recopy it to the other ones. But I ran out of time to recopy, so whatever.
Okay, so what should it be? They both start at Mincha Gedola?
So everyone agrees. There's no question. Everyone agrees the earliest time that you're allowed to daven mincha is Mincha Gedola.
Okay.
And everyone also agrees that you shouldn't you shouldn't daven that early. And the ideal time to start davening mincha is 9.5 hours, Mincha Katana. The machlokes between the Rabban and Rabbi Yehuda is when's the stop point. According to the Rabban, you go all the way till Erev. According to Rabbi Yehuda, no, you got to stop by Plag.
Okay.
All right. Now, here is the $64,000 question. How does this answer Rabbeinu Tam's question? Okay, Elnatan, let me hear. How does this answer?
I don't know how to answer this. I'm not sure the question. What's your problem?
The question was that we daven Mariv, or let me stop basic. The Mishnah says the earliest time to daven is Seis. Says Rabbeinu Tam, Oivei, how do you explain that we daven earlier? And Rabbeinu Tam says the Iker Mitzvah is in basic Knesset before Tseis. So how, in fact, what's his shita? How does he explain how you could say Kriya Shema earlier when clearly you're not Yotzei?
No, I didn't consider Rabbi Tom's question. I mean, is Rabbi asking what does Marav have to do with Shema?
Yeah. How does he answer? Just tell me how he answers the question.
So I thought Rabbi just right, yeah. I thought Rabbi just kind of said that the way Rabbeinu Tam is learning Rabbi Yehuda is that Marav Zman happens really only when you can only daven Marav, not when you can daven Mincha. There's a certain idea that Marav happens at a time when you can't daven Mincha, and that's the new shift of time. That means that's the time to daven the night Marav, which is Shema Esrei. I mean, which is Shema also, which means that is the Zman Shema. He knows from the fact that Rabbi Yehuda says this is the Zman Marav.
Okay, now you're really right, and I sort of spoke too quickly last time, but let's take that first step. The first step is before you see anything fancy, all Rabbi Yehuda tells us is the Zman Minchas until Plag. Tosfos makes two extensions beyond what Rabbi Yehuda says. Again, Rabbi Yehuda just says this: the last time to daven Mincha is Plag. Tosfos' first extension is, I also say Mikama Elach Havilayla Inyan Tfilas Erev. Meaning, not only does Rabbi Yehuda say the last time to daven Mincha is Plag, it must be, says Tosfos, that that's when you can daven Marav, because that's when you can daven Marav.
There's no Gemara that says that's Shita
Nope.
Rabbi Yehuda?
Nope, no Gemara says it. But which is another step that Tosfos says. And then the second step that Tosfos says is V'hu Adin Le'in Kriya Shema. Meaning, when Rabbi Yehuda says Plag Mincha is the last time daven Mincha, he didn't say it's the last time daven Mincha because that's when they brought the carbon. He said it's the last time daven Mincha because that's when nightfall begins, and that's why you daven Marav then, and that's why you say Kriya Shema. That's when nightfall begins, according to Rabbi Yehuda. That's a huge extension. Rabbi Tom says that you don't have a right to say unless he says it.
Could you say in theory that when it makes sense, since he holds that Kriya Shema by Tefillah is the Iker, then there's no way Chazal would have been Nasaking to say Kriya Shema at that point if you weren't going to be to daven Marav if you weren't going to be able to say Kriya Shema.
Yeah, that adds up, but maybe the Iker isn't by Tefillah. Maybe the Iker Kriya Shema is Alamita, like Rashi says, or after, I don't know, do something else, but not in shul.
Maybe is his...
Well, it's not the Rabbanan. That step is not. It's not the Rabbanan Kriya Shema. So you can't just
exactly. Rabbeinu Tam takes two steps beyond what Rabbi Yehuda says. Rabbi Yehuda just tells us that the last time to daven Mincha is Plag. It says Tosfos, number one, that tells me even for Mariv, you're allowed to daven Mariv after Plag. And number two, that you also Yotzei Shema. Meaning what Rabbeinu Tam says is when Rabbi Yehuda says that Plag ends Mincha, it's not because that's when the carbon stopped being brought, but rather that's because that's when night starts. Why could you daven Marav after Plag? Because that's when night starts. Why could you say Shema? Because that's when night starts. Meaning, Rabbeinu Tam is learning in Rabbi Yehuda that the reason why Plag is significant is not just because that's the last time I bring the carbon, but because that's the end of the last day and the beginning of the new day. That's the break point, and that's why you could daven Marav after that point. That's why you could say Shema after that point. But those two steps that Tosfos took well beyond what Rabbi Yehuda said.
Rabbi, how is he actually answering the lashon of the Mishnah? How do you answer the lashon? Is he saying we don't agree with that Mishnah? Really, we hold like Rabbi Yehuda? What is
right,
he
we
exactly?
argue, right, we pass on Rabbi Yehuda. That Mishnah is the Rabbanan. Rabbanan say Tfilas Mincha Ad Erev, right? According to Rabbanan, the night doesn't start until Tzei, so whenever the Erev is, right? But we pass on like Rabbi Yehuda. And Rabbi Yehuda says, when does it end? Mincha is the end of the day, and the next day begins right by Plag is the end of the day. And next day begins right after Plag. So right after Plag for Marav, right after Plag for Kriya Shema, we argue in the Mishnah. We all like Rabbi Yehuda.
So Tosfos is basically saying Rashi holds like the Rabbanan, we hold like Rabbi Yehuda.
Yep.
Without any Amoraim coming along and staking a claim.
Well, no, don't forget, the Gemara definitely tells us these words, that there's a machloket in Rabbanan and Rabbi Yehuda, and we don't know how to paskin, of it kimar, of it, do either way you want. So Tosfos saying is not that outrageous.
So how is Tosfos paskening though? That's I was about to ask that question. Like I feel like I'm missing a step. The Gemara says we don't know how to paskin. Comes Tosfos, he says, let me tell you guys something. Let me explain to you how to learn. This is what you do.
Yeah, and that's why we daven Marav early, because that's how we hold. We paskin that way. That's what we do.
Meaning, no, not because we paskin that way, because the Gemara gave us the right to paskin like whoever we want.
Good, so that's what we do. That's
fine, but that's not the way Tosfos sets it up. Tosfos doesn't say because the Gemara says we can pass like whoever we want. We do it because the Maisa there's a shita to rely on. Tosfos is mashma the way he says it. We paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. No, we don't. We paskin like both, and you have the ability to choose.
You are making a fantastic diak. You are onto something very, very significant and very, very important. And that is definitely scenes of coming attractions. I think you're 100% correct. 100% correct. Meaning, Tosfos didn't just say, well, do whatever you want. So that's how we do whatever we want. Tosfos seemed to say definitively with paskin. Okay, but I want you to circle that. We will come back to that, not in next week sometime. We gotta. Yeah.
I mean, what's the kasha? He's trying to be miyashiv the minhag.
Because he says the words we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. We don't paskin like with noeg like Rabbi Yehuda.
That's how we got noeg. Are you saying because it's stronger lashon?
Yeah, exactly. Ovid kamar ovid means you do whatever you want. Tosfos doesn't say ovid kamar ovid. Tosfos lashon is here. You know, according to the kaimalon Rabbi Yehuda. We paskin like Rabbi.
That's what we do. Obviously, we kaimalon.
Yeah, but that's not the way to say it. Meaning the Gemara says ovid kamar, do whatever you want. We paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. I mean, with noeg. That's what we chose this way.
If you're noeg, so then how are you noeg? You're not doing whatever you want. You're kaimalon.
Kaimalon paskin. We hold this sheet is correct.
Yeah, because if you're doing that minhag, you have to hold that.
All right, I don't know. I think it's a good diak. Elnatan, he doesn't like it. You guys fight it out. I think it's a very important diak. But let's proceed anyway. Okay, so basically we now understand Tosfos very clearly, right? Hillel, you with us? Huh? Yes, no? I mean, I'm sorry, iPhone 35, you with us? Take it off mute a second. Talk to me. What?
Oh, can you hear me?
You're now here.
Yeah, I'm here.
But you follow me here. Again.
No, I'm really just happy to be here.
Okay, good. I'm happy you're here too. Okay, but again, Tosfos' kasha was the following. Tosfos says, I don't understand how in the world do we read Shema early. The Mishnah told us the earliest time you can read Shema is Seisa Kachavim. Tosfos answers because we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yehuda holds not like the Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda holds it ends the day end by wait guys. The Rabbi Yehuda holds the day ends by plag, and therefore we paskin that way for Shema, and everything's good. All right, so far so good.
Why do we have to say it that way? That the day ends then?
Because Shema is a doraisa, right? Now you can't read Shema of the night until it's night, right? So let's say Rabbi Yehuda held really Plaga Mincha is still daytime, but that's the last time you're allowed to dam Mincha. If that's what he was saying, because like say that's the last time bringing the carbon. So how in the world do you read Shema then? Shema is by night.
That's the way you asked it last time, right? You said at first that it was just a division of when you daven, and then you said, but then how does that help Shema? Right? It was a separate step.
So the answer is Tosfos clearly learns that Rabbi Yehuda is not saying it's strictly because that's the last time they brought the carbon, but rather Rabbi Yehuda said Plaga Mincha the last time dam Mincha because that's when he holds night starts. He said you can't.
That's very hard conceptually because plag, by definition, where does plag come from? It's half of a span that goes to the night.
That's exactly what I was touching on. Same thing. If it's really night, then the Shazmani should end then.
They do.
Yeah.
They would.
No, it's not. It's the Shazmani still go till Tzeis or still go till Shiur.
Who said according to Rabbi Yehuda, if you went in Rabbi Yehuda's town?
Because there would be a Plag Mincha.
Wait. In Rabbi Yehuda's town, who says?
But then it wouldn't be Plag. The whole point of being Plag is relative to Shiur or relative to Tzeis. An hour and a quarter before Tzeis or an hour and a quarter before Shiur. But if that's the beginning of nighttime, then that should be really the end point.
B'yom Pesach, slow down for a minute. We're noheg plag because we're noheg like Rabbi Yehuda. But in Rabbi Yehuda's world, if you ask him when does the day end, the day ends then. And when
so
did
why is that called 10 and 3/4 hours?
When did the Shas Manias end according to Rabbi Yehuda? That's when they end. Now
then why is that called 10 and 3/4 hours?
Because in our calendar, don't forget, we're also aware of the Rabbanan. In our calendar world, in the world that we live in, where we count from, let's say, Alos to Tzeis or Shkia to whatever we count, in that world, it's 10 and 3/4 hour. In Rabbi Yehuda's
world, in his world, Chatzos would be halfway between Plag and Alos, or Plag and Nates and Plag?
I guess that's what you have to say in Rabbeinu Tam's Shita. Again, it's not the.
That's what I'm saying. It's a humongous chiddush. Because before Rabbeinu Tam, you could say he holds plag. It's just the end of mincha, but lamais, it's not the end of the day. Just like in the morning, if you're supposed to finish at 4 hours, or worse katzos, there's another 2 hours or 2.5 hours that you can't say mincha in between. So too, there'll be an hour and a quarter where you're done saying mincha, you start saying mar. All of a sudden comes to Rabbeinu Tam saying it's nighttime. Well, then what happens to the whole plag? What's it mean? Again,
if Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold the plug ends the day, there can be no way to explain how you say Shema at that point.
I understand the impetus for Tosfos. I'm just saying the fact that he's making this change, which makes it difficult to understand how Hashem's money for him.
It makes it unusual for you because you don't think in Rabbeinu Tam's
No,
world.
but I'm saying, would that mean that the chatzos would be halfway between?
Yes, yeah, in Rabbeinu Tam's Rabbi Yehuda, yes. Now it's new to you. I don't think that way either. We Jews don't think that way.
I'm not worried about this new to me. I'm worried about the Mitzias. Would he argue what chatzos is also?
Yes, he would. According to Rabbeinu Tam, Rabbi Yehuda, yes, he would. He has a different show.
So when he says ad plaga mincha, he's saying your plaga mincha.
Yes, and if you ask me it 10 more times, the answer is still going to be yes.
Well, he really holds that shkia.
It's the end of the day. Whatever you call the end of the day, that's the end of the day. Call it chatzos, call it shkia, the day ends.
I've never heard anyone be machmir to say Shema really early because they're machmir on Rabbeinu Tam's version of Rabbi Yehuda's plag.
Let me tell you something. We don't paskin like this, Rabbeinu Tam.
Okay.
You know, this is.
Machmir doesn't stop them. Machmir come up with reasons to say anything.
Again, Rabbeinu Tam is not considered. The Shartzian says very politely, he's a das yechida, a single voice. No other Rishonim hold this way. So that's why we don't, in halacha, we don't really, we don't calculate for it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I hate to say it that way because it's Rabbeinu Tam, but yeah. Again, that's the Shartzian's lashon. He's a da. The Shartzian says we're not even choshesh for it because it's a das yechida. Don't even think of it. Don't even deal with it. That's how he says it. And believe me, Chofetz Chaim had respect for Rabbeinu Tam. But the point is, it's not the halachic accepted shita. All right, good. Now, so this is how Rabbeinu Tam. Now we know how Rabbeinu Tam answers the question. But we go on. Vim tomar heichanu mispalin tilas mincha samocha chashecha v'afilu acha plaga mincha. If so, oivei. How do you explain the fact that many times we daven mincha after plag? I just told you we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, plag ends the day. Day ends, right? So how in the world do some days we daven mincha after plag? That means we're davening mincha in the next day. How does that work? Right? Again, according to Rabbi Yehuda's man, mincha is until plag. After 10 course, you're not allowed to daven. So To's question is, how do you explain how very many times we'll daven mincha after plag mincha? If you told me paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, and that's how we daven Marav early, Jigali, some other days we daven mincha after plag. How do you explain that? Good. Good.
And we still daven Marav right afterwards. Not getting into touch of Sasri, just
no, we do not. That's not what his question is. I do not believe Tosa asking that question. I believe on different days, and not the same day. I don't believe Tosa is asking that.
So when Tosa assume you're davening Marav, you daven mincha after plag?
No, meaning on, let's say on Monday I davened Marav before it says after plag, and then Tuesday I davened mincha after plag. How do you explain that? If you told me Kaimalon,
and then on those days, when did I daven Marav?
After it says.
Tosa is assuming that?
Yes, absolutely.
But that's not how the Olam was knowing.
No. You want to ask me how we live at Tarti to Sasri the same?
No. He gets into Tarti to Sasri afterwards. I'm not saying Tarti to Sasri. I'm saying just.
No one says in Rabbeinu Tam the same day Tarti to Sasri. That's not how Rabbeinu Tam. You look in the Rosh. The Rosh clearly says lefamim other days will daven Marav in that time. Tosa is not gory. It's the possibility that you're going to daven Tarti Sasri the same day, different days.
So in Tosas's world, they never daven mincha before Shkia and Marav after Shkia.
I don't think so. No, never daven mincha. Wait, say it again.
Maybe Friday nights. What about Friday night?
Right. I don't think Tosa's world they ever did it right. A Friday night mincha after plag and Mariv.
Let's say after Shkia, before and after Shkia, but before it says.
Yeah. I don't think they did. Now we have a Tarti Sasi in the same day, which is very, very problematic, much worse than Rabbeinu Tam. At the end of the Sugyah, we'll get to how we do that, because it really is, that's worse than even Rabbeinu Tam's question is, I just told you Paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, the day ends a plug. If so, how do you explain on another day, sometimes we'll have mincha after plug? If it's after, if plug is the end of the day, we'll have mincha the next day. That's crazy. How do you do that? Yesh Lomar, answer is, Kamal and Karabanan. We're passing like Rabbanan. Dami's man till mincha the erev. Answer is, I guess, those days we're passing like the Rabbanan. Let's say mincha is all the erev. I mean, come on, brachas dav chav zayin on alf hashlit melchas lo kamar. And now that we don't pass like this one, avi kamar avid. You can do either one you want. Basically, the Gemara is saying, right? The Gemara says, hashlo is melchas lo kamar davi kamar avid. It's your choice. Do what you want. Meaning, granted, Rabbi Yehuda holds man mincha until plag. The Rabban holds man mincha until erev. So one day you do like this, one day you do like that, and it's. You
have any other halachas like that?
I'm sorry.
You have any other halachas like that?
6 cases like it. 6 cases.
Next year?
What?
Next year?
I'm saying, Rebbe, is he also answering for Rashi right now?
No, not at all. Because Rashi learns you have to say it after tzeis. And Rashi holds fast that the only time you can be yotzei Kriya Shema is after tzeis HaKochavim. Late. And so it says, no, you could yotzei Kriya Shema way before tzeis HaKochavim, as long as you have to plug. Why? Because we're passing Rabbi Yehuda.
Meaning Rashi can't be saying that it happens to be that some people do this, some people do that. Meaning Rashi is definitely stating a halacha and citing like one Tana.
Right, and he's saying clearly, Rashi's saying you have to read it at night on your bed, because that's when you yotze in the mitzvah Kriya Shema. The reason we do it in Mariv is nothing to do with Kriya Shema. It has to do with keeping Torah close to Tefillah, but nothing to do with Shema. Because Rashi says before Tzeis, there's nothing to talk about. You're not Yotzei Shema.
So Rebbe, didn't he just shoot himself in the foot, really? Because if you say that in the world of the Rabbanon, we could he just agreed now that you could pass like either. That means we don't identify as Klaus. We don't say that Marv automatically starts at plug.
Right.
So therefore, it would come out that according to Rabbeinu Tam, a person could say Shema by himself and then go daven mincha.
No, not the same day. Not the same day. Don't do it.
Why not?
I don't know why not. That's really crazy. So the Rabbeinu Tam wasn't asking that, and I don't think it's.
I actually saw stock like that one. But no, I'm not talking about mincha Marv. Not even Marv. He doesn't daven Marv. He just davens. He just says Kriya Shema and then he says mincha.
That's really crazy.
Yeah,
really.
That's
crazy.
what I'm saying. Meaning,
we don't now.
You just told us that we don't. Yeah.
Our achronim, who on this extreme circumstance will allow us to do a tarti d'satsi if you're not going to get the minyan together. Otherwise, they'll allow us to, Shabbos, Kabbalah, Shabbos. A lot of people rely on that, but that's only it's not what Rabbeinu Tam's talking about. He's not dealing with that. He's dealing with different days.
Okay, but I'm saying
even though he says tarti d'satsi.
Yes, because
no, I'm talking about different days. But different days means that we say that Plaga Mincha is not the end all and be all when Marv starts. And if that is true, then you didn't really answer your original question that you had, because you can't say that. Because
even if you kuli the sasra nadadi,
no, not because of the steer.
But that's what he's asking. That's his kasha. Meaning, what's Tos's kasha? His kasha is that what's the reason why we daven Marav immediately after plag? Mishum dekamalan b'shas mincha kala k'di Rabbi Yehuda, and we hold the day ends by mincha like Rabbi Yehuda. Umiyad have his man arvis, and immediately it's Marav. It was on a tefillah. Then when it comes to davening, atzma lo kal min Rabbi Yehuda el karbanim. When it comes to davening next night, we're passing the other way, passing Rabbi Yehuda. That's a stira.
No, but I'm asking more than just the Tarti d'satsi. I'm saying that the only way it worked in Rabbi Yehuda was because it has to be the beginning of Marv, the way he's learning it. Meaning, Tarti d'satsi is much worse for Rabbeinu Tam.
I don't know what to tell you. Meaning, Rabbeinu Tam has to answer how you're able to yotze the mitzvah say of Kriya Shema now when it's not Seisa Kochavim. His only way to do that is to say the night begins. The next day has begun. Well, it's not Seis. What can I tell you? Rabbi Yehuda holds plug is the next day. Now, the only way you could do that is if you're paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. I mean, Rabbi Yehuda's town, you could daven. I understand how you could say Shema after Plag because it's the next day. I got that. But wait a minute, you don't really paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, do you? Because the next night you're davening mincha after Plag. So what are you doing? Tarti the Sasri.
So when they're going,
what I'm trying to say is the way he learns.
Also, according to Rabbi Yehuda, it was Plaga Mincha.
According to Rabbi, just say one more time. According to Rabbi Yehuda,
But when the Rebbeinu Shalom said Vayhi Erev Vayhi Boker,
yes, exactly.
Yehuda thought it was Plaga Mincha.
That's what it sounds like. Now I don't know how far to carry this. Let me be honest. I don't think I was clearing the shot. I do not believe in Rabbi Yehuda's town. If you carried outside in Rosh Hashanah after Plag, that you chayav misa. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think
on Friday.
Yeah, meaning Friday night after Plag. Let's use the Groz. Let's use the Groz Shkia. So Plag Mincha is an hour and a quarter before Shkia. So it could be, let's say, this week. Tomorrow 4:30 in the afternoon, right? Let's assume Plag is 4:30. I don't believe in Rabbi Yehuda's town after 4:30. If you lit a fire, you chayav misa. Meaning, I don't think he holds it that much night. I don't know. I don't believe so. But
But would Rabbi Yehuda allow you to say mincha twice if you were ones until his plag, but mezid until shkia?
Wait, one more time. Can you do a tashlumim? You mean?
Yeah, I mean, according to Rabbi Yehuda, if you were ones until plag, but mezid until shkia, can you do a tashlumim? I mean, yeah.
No. Because Plag is the end of the day. According to Rabbeinu Tam's
right, meaning he right.
So that's considered mazid, so there's no tashlumim.
Right, but what about according to Rabbeinu Tam?
I'm saying Rabbeinu Tam's Rabbi Yehuda, the day ends by Plag. If you were mazid until then there's no tashlumim because you were mazid.
But according to Tosas, you could pass in like either, right? So on a day that you're mazid, according to if you're onis until Rabbi Yehuda and mazid until Rabbanan, can you do a tashlumim?
Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah. And the other day, as long as you don't do it on the same day, I guess that's a tarti the sasri we live with somehow. Yeah.
Somehow or another, that sounds like a scenario where alcohol was involved.
No, it just means you were an ones. Let's just say you were busy and then you came home. We got a half hour. You just sat around. Like you wasted your time. So now the question is, if you were mazid until thingy, I mean ones until Rabbi Yehuda, can I now do tashlumim?
All right, I hear. Gentlemen, I got to get my questions in. I got 3 major kashas that we got to get to work on because otherwise we're never going to get moving into Sugyah. Are you ready? Oh, we got to get to the Re first. Whoa, it's getting late.
Tosas Tarti Sasri, we're ignoring it.
Well, no, I mean, Tosas is aware of the Tarti Sasri. He's able to live.
That was the next step in Tosas.
Yeah, because of this, the Re drops it. Meaning, we're going to do that. The Re drops Rabbeinu Tam because it's Tarti Sasri. Tosas, it says it's shver, but I live with it. Right, and the Reed says because it is Alkano Marie, because I can't live with this Tati the Sasri, the Reed has a different answer. All right, let's see what the Reed's answer is. Alkano Marie Devade Krishma Shal Beit Sakinesis.
Where's the question? What about the stuff with the question? The Sasri.
We just did that. Didn't we just do that? Come on, Kasha. Trey Kuli Sasri Adodi. Hashem Eza Taman Usalan Arvis Miyad Lachapla Mincha for whatever the reason why we done Marev immediately after Blag Mincha. Mishum de Kamelon de Shasa Mincha Kala Kdiv Rabbi Yehuda. That's because we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. I told you Kamelon paskin Rabbi Yehuda that Mincha ended. The day ended. Miyad Havizman Arvis immediately after Plag is a time for Marev. When it comes to davening Atzma lo Kamelon Rabbi Yehuda lo Karabbanan. When it comes to davening the next night, all of a sudden you tell me you pass like Rabbi Yehuda.
Next night, where do you see that in the Rabbeinu Tam?
Look in the rush.
I read through Tosas. I didn't come and didn't read that.
I agree with you. If you read Tosas, you wouldn't know for sure. But you'll read the rush. You'll see clearly when he says over Rabbeinu Tam Shita, he says clearly on other nights because it's very schwer to assume that Rabbeinu Tam would agree. Otherwise, you'd have a riot to that Shita, meaning the Achronim go on a limb to say in the same day. You could do it b'shas chag only if you could only. It's the only way to get the minion together. Whatever. Otherwise, you'd have a solid Rabbeinu Tam saying it. Basically, no one quotes it as Rabbeinu Tam says. You could do a Tati Sas the same day. You know what I'm saying? This Rabbeinu Tam would be the perfect riot to that shita, and no one quotes it that way.
Except nobody passes Rabbeinu Tam. He's shita chidai.
No, but he would be proving that Tati Sas is not a problem. Meaning we don't pass like him, the Gabi Krishma, but a Tati Sasri you prove that it's good enough for Mariv and Mincha. All right, try, look in the rush. You'll see it's clear. It's not the same day.
The only thing that seems to be heading in that direction is the beginning, who he says, "Sarah Hadadi Shahare Eizatam Anu Mispalim Arvis Miyad La'achar Plaga Mincha."
Yeah.
Eizatam sounds like he's doing it like on one day. He's doing it like this, and then maybe you could read that means he's means on another day.
Maybe. Okay. All right. So far, so bad, right? All right. So good. So basically, because it is kasha, right? Meaning the kasha is plaga mincha again here. Plaga mincha is over here. Sometimes dam mincha, sometimes dam mariv. So says Rabbeinu Tam, that's tarti de sasri. You can't tell me if the day ends at plaga mincha, the day is over. So I understand why dam mariv, but then I don't understand why another day you dam mincha. Make up my mind. Either we pass like Rabbi Yehuda, or pass like Rabbanan. And by the way, you know the way the Beis Yosef brings it down. The Mechaber says, since the Gemara isn't Machriya Rabbi Yehuda Rabbanan, you could do either one you want, but you always have to do that way. All right, b'shas hatzchag, you get stuck. You can do the other way, but you got to pick one and stick with it.
Who says that?
Mechaber. And Reis HaMechaber.
Mechaber holds that in general you have to be either a Rabbi Yehuda man or
yeah. Reish Shalom Gimel. Look at Reish Shalom Gimel. The Ramah says the same thing. All right. Now again, we're not noheg that way. Clearly, we're not noheg that way. But that's the way they say. Listen, Mechaber says you could do either one, but you pick that one all the time. And he agrees. All right, if you get stuck, you could change. But it's much more.
The Gemara B'Fever says not like that. The Gemara B'Fever says that you want to hold this way.
But
today.
No, but it could be long term.
What that means is if you want to hold this way, you can hold this way, but you got to always hold that way. You can pick either one you want, but you got to stick with your choice.
So why can't Rabbeinu Tam hold a new shaila every day?
He could, but he doesn't. It's hard to decide. We're going to see why. Your diak is very solid. You made the Kaimelon diak, right? Right, Elnathan made the Kaimelon diak, right? That Kaimelon diak is a very important diak, and that's exactly why he can't just. We'll get to that.
I mean, he can't say every day is a new shaila, and now I pass like this, now I pass on that, and therefore it's not tarti desasri.
Right. Okay, so here we go. You ready for my question?
You have a question?
Question that's going to bring us to the promised land. I got a question. What was Rabbeinu Tam's big problem? We didn't do the re yet. All right.
You read the re first.
We're running late already.
Yeah.
Let me ask my comment. I want to have some fun. Here we go. The re was it Rabbeinu Tam's question was what? What was his question?
That it can't be Kriyash Malamita.
Right? It can't be Kriyash Malamita. So how do you explain how we read Shema early? What's the answer?
That's the Iker time.
Rabbanan.
We're passing like Rabbi Yehuda and Plagam at the end of the day. Good. I told us a stira tarti to sasri. How do you explain how we done mincha? He's stuck. I want to ask you a question. What did Tosas do before he got to this Gemara with Kriya Shema? Why do you stop me with that question? I have a kasha to ask you, Tosas. How is it possible that sometimes we daven mincha after plag and sometimes daven marv after plag? Why didn't Tosas ask the kasha stam? What about Shema? All of a sudden made him ask this big kasha. It's stam a kasha. Meaning it's clear from Tosas that if he didn't have this problem of the Mishnah saying Shema has to be read by tzeis, he would not have a problem. He wouldn't have to say tati or sas. He wouldn't have all these problems. What's it got to do with Shema? It's stam a stira.
Could be in Tosas's town. They always did mincha before plag and marv right after plag.
No, but he didn't say that. He said we do the opposite. He said, how do you explain? His kasha was then, if I just told you we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, how do you explain his kasha? How do you explain how we daven mincha sometimes after plag?
It seems fair to say that other times, sometimes they daven mincha before plag and marv right after plag. Sometimes they daven mincha after plag and then they wait till after it says to daven marv.
Wait, again, let's focus on one here. Rabbeinu Tam says the following. He says, now that I told you Pasuk Rabbi Yehuda in regards to Kriya Shema, I got a big problem. How do you explain how sometimes daven mincha after plag? That's a great question, Rabbeinu Tam. Nothing to do with Kriya Shema. How do you explain Tati the Sasri L'Gabi Tefillah? It's a great question.
It does have to do with Shema because it's only because of Shema that we had to understand it. That it's Erev, that it's the end of the day at Plag. Otherwise, we could have said it was just the end of when they usually did the carbon. So that was the cutoff time for davening. And with that, you could have possibly understood why some days it's one way, some days the other way. But in order for Shema to come out right, it had to become Erev.
Baruch, it's clever, but you wouldn't explain why you dam Marav then. If it doesn't end the day, how do you explain why you dam Marav? You can't dam Marav on yesterday. Meaning, if it doesn't end the day, you can't dam Marav. So the same answer you have to say for Shema, you have to say for Marav. Meaning, if you're right, the Rabbi Yehuda learns that only because the carbon wasn't brought, that's the mice what they did. They never brought it after 9.5 hours. Then you can't daven Marav at that point because you can't daven Mincha after that because they never brought the carbon. But you can't daven Marav then. It's not night. So you need that same answer for Marav.
You daven before night. Is that only because of Rabbi Yehuda thinking it's Erev?
That's what Tosas, right? That's clearly how else you explain how you could daven Marav. How can you daven Marav? You have to plug. It's not Seisa Kachavim. What right do you have to daven?
But I thought we had a Gemara that said that they daven Marav before Tzeis.
Therefore, what?
Isn't in the same Gemara that Rebbe, isn't the rest of the Gemara that they quoted? I think it was Rav or one other rabbi that daven Marav before. So Tosafos doesn't need to bring that raya.
No.
Right.
No.
And Motzei Shabbos, no.
No. Again, wait. Let's go slow. I'm asking a very simple question. There's a Tarti to Sasri, nothing to do with Kriya Shema. A Tarti to Sasri. How is it possible? Sometimes we daven Mincha. Sometimes we daven Marav after Plag. Sometimes daven Mincha after Plag. That's a Tarti to Sasri. What does Kriya Shema have to do with the Tarti to Sasri? It's not Makasha.
When did they daven Marav?
Forget that day. They daven Marav.
Did they daven afterwards?
After Tzeis.
So if they daven Mincha after Plag, they wait all the way till after Tzeis, 2 hours later.
I don't care what does it bother me? What does it got to do with what I'm asking?
Because there obviously was some Baal Batish Svara scenario, whatever, that they daven Mincha and Marav one after the other.
No, they didn't. They didn't do that. You're making
because maybe they use Shiur then.
I don't know, whatever.
Where does this come from? We do Shiur. According to this whole thing, Rabbi's saying, why is it we use daven Mincha before Shiur, Marav after Shiur? Where's that come from?
We do that. It's a shver heter. The Achronim explain that because otherwise you can't get a minion under duress, you're allowed to use that as a heter, but it's really illegal procedure. It's not what told.
Oh, there's no svara to daven Marav after Shiur more than anything else.
There are svaras, but I'm saying it's an illegal procedure. Plag, in other words, you can't pass like Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbanan in one day. But let's not confuse things. Again, I have a very simple question. Before Tosas.
No, I'm not talking about Tartasas. I'm talking about a regular shul. The davens Mincha Marav.
Miyam Pesach, are you talking to me or are you talking to yourself?
Talking to you.
Okay, I'm asking a question. Do you have something to say about the question I'm asking, or you want to discuss?
What I'm saying is it seems to me that it's definitely lined up to Tosas for some scenario. Somehow he understood people davening Mincha and Marav together after Plag.
That answers the question that I asked?
Well, maybe it makes it worse. I
don't know. Maybe you could say because you have to pass him for Shema. But I don't know if it's like similar to what Ellen was saying, that you have to paskin so strong it's night that you have to be willing to set a deraisa.
You are on hot. You are hot.
So therefore it's stronger question.
You are very, very. When we were playing hot potato, cold potato, you be burning hot. You are right on target there. But scenes of coming attraction. Yeah. We got to do the we can't do it tonight. It's too late. I got to do the I'm going to send out the Shagas Aryeh. We're going to do the Shagas Aryeh for Sunday, Mitzvah Shem, and we're going to have some fun because this is going to start getting involved in these shitas, and we're going to really start getting some good understanding here. Are we good, gentlemen?
Yeah,
we're good.
Just for Binyamin Pesach, we had this thing with the Milcha before Shkia and Marav after. So I looked on Aish, and it was like you could do it under duress when you get a minion, and then like they quoted Rav Moshe as Davin B'Yechidus.
By the way, the Mishmur is very.
It's like every Baal Batz shul out there, they do that. They don't do Tartu Sasri.
Wait. Minam Pesach. The halacha is the Mishmur brings down There are achronim who explain that even though it's a tatir sasha in one day, if you can't get a minyan, otherwise you're allowed to do it. And it's clear from the Mishnah Berurah that you can rely on.
That's like during the summer in the Midwest, they'll having a 7 o'clock mincha marav all summer, even though it's after plag and before shkia. Exactly. But I'm talking about regular minyan. I went to the Young Israel of Greater Cleveland. Every single night of the whole year, they daven mincha and they finish right before shkia, and then marav they start 5 minutes later after shkia.
It's good. There's a rationale for it, but it's not great. But we'll continue. Let's continue as we get more into the Sugyah. Lina will also do the halacha. We'll try to do Reish Samach Aleph or Reish Lamed Gimel and try to see if we could put this halacha also. All right, gentlemen.
So it sounds almost like Rabbi saying it would be more chachila to daven before and after plag, mincha before plag and marav after plag.
That's for sure.
Then to daven mincha before shkia, marav after shkia.
That's for sure, 100% no question about it. Because there, down before mincha before plag, marav after plag, you have Rabbi Yehuda really to rely on.
So that's more lechachila than davening before and after shkia?
Well, unless you're going to unless you tell me you use the gra, use shkia of the gra, and say that seisa kachavim. See, according to the gra,
we use that for malacha, don't we? Are we machmar for that for halacha?
No, opposite. We're meaning the gra. Meaning again, according to the gra, shkia begins ben hashmashos. 12 and a half minutes after that is seisa kachavim, according to the gra. So according to the gra, I don't know. Shkia means shkia is not really the end of the day. Shkia it begins bein hashmashos, and 12 and a half minutes later is seisa kachavim.
So that's why there are minyanim that will daven mincha, let's say starting 5 minutes before shkia, and they'll finish, let's say 7 minutes after shkia, and then they'll start mariv somewhere between 13 and 19 minutes after. That
there's a position for. If you do the following, if you daven mincha, let's say before shkia, and then you learn something, take a break. 12 and a half minutes after shkia, you begin marav, you have a good leg to stand on.
Some seem to go with 18 and a half minutes. I'm not sure what 18 and a half minutes is.
But... I don't know, it's 3/4 of a mil. A mil is 18 minutes. 3/4 of a mil, 1,500 amas is 12 and a half. And the point is, if you wait 3/4 of a mil, according to Ben Tam, according to the Gra, shkia is the beginning of Ben Hashmashos. 12 and a half minutes later, meaning 3/4 of a mil later, is seisa kachavim. So if you be dam mincha before shkia, and then you wait 12 and a half minutes, and then you dam marav after 12 and a half minutes, you're in good standing. Why? Because according to the Gra, it's 2 different days. That's perfect. That's okay. But using shkia as the breakup alone, I don't, is not so simple.
I think on the people that do that also will often say necessarily you don't need to repeat Shema because they say Memela, we have Rashi as a backup. First of all, we're saying we're fulfilling a sheet of Seis Chavim. We're saying Shema sheet of Seis Chavim. It's not 42 minutes or 50 minutes, whatever it is.
Don't try that at home. My suggestion is listen to what Mishnah Berurah says. Regardless, you wait until 72 minutes after Shkia and say the 3 parshas of Shema over 3 parshas. Because again, he's masking. There's at least because the Shagzari holds even the 3rd one.
Wait 72 minutes?
Or whatever you wait for Shabbos, it's 60 minutes, whatever you wait.
Why does that have to be the same as Manas for Shabbos? And the Shabbos is L'chumra.
Because that's a deraisa, meaning whatever you wait for Shabbos, you should wait for this. It's a deraisa. Shabbos are not more machmer than any deraisa. Shabbos we wait because
it's skila, so I thought we're more machmer.
No, we are not. It's any deraisa. That's what you wait.
Like I thought there's Shiva held, for example, that is 60 minutes. 60 minutes, and we're machmer 72 for Shabbos.
No, I don't think so. The Mishnah Berurah is very clear. He says that sheet of 72 minutes is a chol any deraisa. 72 minutes. Now, here's the problem where we live by 50 minutes. Rav Moshe wrote that he was outside in Russia and outside in New York. He says in New York City, by 50 minutes after Shkia, it was as dark as 72 minutes in Russia. Therefore, what? Meaning the ofak, the latitude is what determines really how long it takes to get from Shkia till Tzeis. So Rav Moshe has a ganz fine posek, and he told us that by 50 minutes it was as dark as.
Right. That's where this 48 minutes came from, I think.
Yeah, but that
that's some 48 minutes. He says, where did she don't daven marv at 60 minutes?
Honor abundant, 48 minutes in the winter, 50 minutes in the summer, and on any doraisa 60 minutes. All right, let's pick this back up Sunday night in Mitzvah Hashem. I'll send out more comes to the Shagzari. We're gonna do that over Shabbos hopefully. And we'll pick it back up.
Most minyanim that wait Rabbeinu Tam, they start davening Marv at like 60 minutes, and they finish at Rabbeinu Tam after Shabbos. They don't start Marv after.
Rabbeinu Tam in our world is probably a chumrah. Okay, but we'll pick up in
Have a good Shabbos.
Shabbos.